Hey guys, Dr. John Eckhart here, talking to you strong men out there today about leadership. Leadership in our strongman values is value number 4. If I could read to you from our handbook, it says, leadership is a comprehensive quality notable in leaders. Leadership implies one's ability to guide, show the way, protect, watch over, or pastor a family, to find a way through, to influence, to motivate. It's a big word. A strong man is a leader. He is the leader of his home, a hero to his children, and a loyal partner to his wife. He uses his influence to serve others. By so doing, he wins the trust of those around him and is followed by those who admire him. Leadership. Sounds like a big word. You know, it's popular in our culture to believe there are leaders and there are followers, but the truth is, every man is called to be a leader. You, sir, are called to be a leader. Leadership is part of your calling. You were designed this way. It's part of what nature tells us about the design that God has put into us. Every man is supposed to be leading his wife in this thing called marriage. Every man should be leading his children in this thing called family. Every man was created to be a leader of some sort. And you know, we like to think, well, you're supposed to grow up and learn a trade and just work for someone else. But there are a lot of men who are also leaders in business, leaders in ministry, leaders in politics, leaders in life. Men are designed to lead. Leadership, if I could say it this way, is two things. It's perspective and it's ability. Some people say, well, you're just a natural born leader. Well, I know what we mean when we say that, but that's not really the truth. Anyone who's a natural born leader who never develops the skill of leadership is going to be a terrible leader, even if he's a natural one. He's going to end up being a bully. He's going to be manipulative, forcing people to try to follow his lead. He's going to be a gangster. That's not leadership. That's manipulation and control. I don't know why we put up with this stuff. Gangster behavior is not leadership. Gangster behavior is manipulation. It's coercing people to do something. It's bribing. It is almost the absence of leadership. Yet to a lot of young men in our day, that looks like leadership. Well, I'm going to be a gangster. I mean, please, give me a break. That's not leadership. That's not even good following. That's losing the battle. We say, well, it takes a lot of courage to be a gangster. No, it doesn't. No. It takes courage to stand up and be a good person and not be a gangster in our day. Gangs are simply counterfeits for families. What takes courage, what takes leadership, what takes honor and strength in combination is for you to be a leader of a family. If you're a young man today and you're listening to this, you're a leader as well. You're a leader of your peers. You can be a leader within a family, a leader within a business or within a ministry. It does not require you to be married. It doesn't require you to have children. But leadership is a core component of a healthy man. If you're going to be a strong man, which to us means healthy, godly, good, then there are leadership components that are at work within you. As we read from the handbook, we said it's a comprehensive quality of notable in leaders, leadership. In other words, you see that this picture is bigger than you. You're not living for yourself. Leadership says you have vision that allows you to see beyond yourself into the lives or for the lives of those who are around you. A dad who's not a leader is living for himself, and the children are just inconveniences. But a dad who's a leader sees that he's actually living for those kids. He's living for that wife. He's living to lead them, to be an example to them. Whether or not I accomplish everything in my life that I think I should accomplish is not the most important thing. It's important and I work toward it. But it's not the most important thing. the most important thing for me as a dad and a husband leader is that I'm giving an example to my children. That they would, if nothing else, be like me. A good leader says to those around him, follow my example. He has developed these qualities and values that we're talking about in this series. And he has a perspective that says, I'm going to pass this on to other people. Leadership is a vehicle through which we pass on our vision and values to others. John Maxwell says that leadership is influence. What does that mean? We're influencing others toward the same vision and values that we walk in ourselves. Leaders have a different way of looking at things. What kind of leader are you? That should be the question we ask. It should not be, am I a leader? If you're a strong man, you're a leader. The question is, what kind of leader are you? Are you a good leader or are you a poor leader? Are you a generous leader or are you a greedy leader? Are you a leader who has harnessed his strength and ability to serve others and to sacrifice for them? Or are you the kind of leader that has exercised strength and wants to be honored, and so you're harnessing your strength so that you can manipulate other people to serve you? Oh my goodness, I hope not. That would be a tragedy. Belize in every nation of the world needs leaders who will harness their strength to serve and sacrifice for others, who can say like the Apostle Paul did in his day, follow my example. Dads, you want to be able to say to your kids, I've made some mistakes, follow my example. Now, not yesterday, but today. This is how I overcame my obstacles. I remember a time in my life where I knew that God had called me to leadership, and I was determining what kind of leader was I going to be. Was I going to be an honorable leader or a selfish leader? Was I going to be one who was humble or one who was arrogant? And I said, I want to be the kind of leader that would be a good example for my kids in the future. I was still a single man. I didn't even have kids. I felt it in my heart to write a letter of apology to everyone I had worked for in my life. Everyone who had been a leader to me. Because I looked back at my life and I said, I was a pretty crummy follower at times. I was a complainer. I whined. I showed up late when I didn't need to. For yourself, or think of your situation. Have you called in sick and you really weren't sick? Have you stolen something from someone who gave you a job thinking you deserved more? If we look back in our life, we probably have a lot of stuff to make right, a lot of stuff to apologize for. I wanted to be the kind of leader that had a clean slate. It was more than just having forgiveness, it was about restitution. And so I remember the time in my life, I think I was 19 years old, that I wrote letters to teachers that I felt in my heart I had dishonored in some way. I wrote to employers who I gave a hard time to. I wrote to my spiritual leaders, pastors and youth pastors. And I just humbled myself. I chose to have the perspective of a leader. I embraced this idea that I wasn't just going to be a leader, but I was going to be a certain kind of leader. What kind of leader did I want to be? That when I would say to my kids in the future, do what I've done, follow my example, that I wouldn't be ashamed. So I went back and I wrote letters, and I received responses back from these employers and these pastors and these older folks that I had worked for or been connected with. And I didn't intend for it to be this way, but I gathered such honor, such favor from that generation because I humbled myself, because I decided what kind of leader I was going to be. You can make these kind of choices today. I encourage you. If you had a messed up life in your past, decide that when your kids say, Dad, tell me about your past, that you can be honest with them and tell them about your past. But part of your past is that you also at one point wrote to these people, contacted these people that you had wronged, and apologized. And then you tell your kids, you're going to make mistakes in life. Everybody makes mistakes. This is how we learn. But a good leader takes responsibility for his mistakes and makes them right. And I did that. And son, daughter, you want to be a leader like I am. One that has a perspective that my life is not being lived for myself, it's being lived for you. And then you can share these stories with your kids because you've become a good leader. You're using your influence.